So we're going to really test the braking performance of this prop, trying not to shock cool the engine, so leaving enough power in where we don't shock cool it. So I'm at 50%, diving down at 1,700 feet, 2,000 feet per minute.
Don't shock cool me either.
At 167 indicated, and now we're coming in on final. Let's really put this thing to the test here. Temperatures are looking good. Almost to flap operating range. Okay, flap speed. Dive down.
500.
Well, we encountered ice, so we're not going to put in flaps to 100. We're going to leave them at 50. We're going to come in a little bit fast. It bleeds off speed so nicely.
Does have a lot of control.
Yeah. Like crazy control.
Wow, totally different.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I like it.
Yeah. And that was at 50% flaps.
Wow, there was like a confident control.
Yes.
Like it felt like you just...
And then here on the runway, we got the Behringers, and look at, we can make, look at this, we can make Bravo. Look at how easily that is. That is awesome.
That's
And that was
totally
with 50% flaps and coming in at 167
it feels like you have
knots on
control
final.
of this thing.
We had the Hartzell 3-blade composite propeller on our Cirrus SR22 Turbo, just like 90% of them flying around. But we wanted to give a shot to the 4-blade composite MT propeller and see the differences both on idle, on the ground, and in flight.
We weighed the differences, including the spinners and the hardware, and then we took it for flight comparisons.
We performed decibel reading tests at both 1000 RPM and 1700 RPM. Then we did decibel reading tests for climb performance at 10,000 feet, and then a cruise decibel reading test at 15,000 feet.
We performed cruise true airspeed performance testing, and then also tried to give you a sense on the braking performance between the two propellers.
We incurred some icing along the way, and then our biggest test, the climb performance test, both propellers, 3,000 feet to 15,000 feet. Enjoy. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Elevate.
To give you first impressions, first of all, this spinner comes matte black from MT, just like Hartzell, I believe, sends out their spinners with a matte black finish. We sent this up to the paint lords over at Midwest Aircraft Refinishing, and they took care of painting that gloss black so it matches the rest of the airplane. The blades were leaving matte black. I think that actually looks cool. Let's talk about the actual nuts and bolts, the important characteristics of this prop compared to the Hartzell 3-blade. This guy, when you pull it back, it's actually an air brake. It's phenomenal. You saw us coming in at final, 167 indicated on a long final, and then we were able to drop down to altitude, hit less than 119 knots, throw in 50% flaps. We couldn't then throw in 100 because we'd incurred icing, and Cirrus says when you incur icing, don't use 100% flaps, so we did 50 landing. So we came over the numbers at 85, and she settles in nice. I would say landing a 4-blade is easier than landing a 3-blade. You've got more control and less float over the runway. And then these new dual caliper Behringers, oh my God. We were able to come in extra fast, extra long, and then still easily stop for Bravo, which I normally buzz right past Bravo quickly and will hit up the next taxiway. For the last couple of years, I've been looking at differences between the 4-blade Hartzell, the 4-blade MT, 3-blade MT, the 3-blade Hartzell. There's not a single good comparison video out there that I could find on YouTube or any online platform. So hopefully this helps you if you're debating it. Enjoy, and thanks for tuning in to Elevate. Please like, subscribe, comment. It helps the channel, and then it encourages us to actually be able to afford to do stuff like this.
It's the day before. We are swapping out the 3-blade Hartzell for the MT. We're about to take off and do just a little VFR flight to test out this Hartzell's performance, kind of note everything that we can. we're noting density, altitude, temperature, altimeter setting.
3000, turn left to 180.
We can't do this as like a perfect
clear for takeoff.
scientific test, but we can get a good idea, a good sense of the climb performance and cruise performance. And then we're going to have to take it with a grain of
180.
salt because of the barometer and because of the density altitude. It's going to be impossible to replicate this perfectly in a day or two with the 4-blade MT. So currently, our density altitude is negative 2,000 feet. Our altimeter setting is 3016. Our outside air temperature is 17 degrees Fahrenheit. Once we're airborne, the true test, in my opinion, is going to be, we're going to start the timer at 3,000 feet, and then we're going to stop the timer at 15,000 feet. We're going to climb all the way up to 15.5, and then we're going to do a cruise test at 15.5. Now, granted, Lene and I typically fly at 15 to 25,000 feet, and that's where the 4-blade starts to really shine, so we'll have to keep that in mind too, take that with a grain of salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to climb at exactly 120 knots. We're going to let autopilot do it, try to keep a perfect 120. Lene's going to start the timer at our 3,000 feet. The reason I'm choosing 3,000 is we can do all of our power settings, our power management, and then start climbing at a perfect 120 from 3,000, and then we'll hit the timer at 15,000. So both props are naturally going to climb at the same speed, but it's the rate of climb that's going to change. We have full tanks today on purpose. We're going to then top them off again before we do the MT. That way this test is as accurate as it could possibly be.
Okay.
So we'll keep in mind the temperature, the altimeter setting, the density altitude, and kind of weigh all that later on at the end of this whole test.
13,
So let's get rolling. The first test that we want to do is 1,000 RPMs. So I'm going to put it at exactly 1,000 RPMs. I do have it leaned out. I want to do a decibel reading at 1,000. So let's see what this is doing here. 73 to 75. Let's do 1,700 here. Nobody's behind us.
So that's between 83 and like 84, 85.
Yep. That's a good test. Okay. So we'll see what it does with the MT. Thought it'd just be interesting to see the difference. And supposedly the 4-blade has a different pitch to a different tone to it, right? So we'll hear the different tone more than most likely decibel reading.
Should I go to the checklist?
Yeah. We're at 120 knots. We're climbing up to 15,000 feet.
Track 500, where you parking?
As soon as we hit 3,000 feet, she turned on the timer. Indications all look good.
All right, takes to be a Delta Parker, check 500.
Manifold pressure's at 37 inches. It's a little cold out, that's why. And actually, 37 inches on this is a true 36.5. Because we had it calibrated, it turns out that the sensor is roughly a half an inch off. So that's why I actually climb at 37 on purpose, typically. And my fuel flow, I like it to be at about 41. And we'll try to replicate this in a couple days with the MT. From the 3,000 to 15,000, give it 12,000 feet total of climb performance. As I feel that the more we give it, the more accurate the test actually is. Switch tanks, boost pump is on. Temperatures in the climb on this beast, they stay nice and low, 350 maximum, even at 120 knots. When we fly someplace very warm, I tend to climb at about 125 or 130 knots just to keep the airflow over the engine and keep it 350, 360 max. So we're still in the climb. We're at 10.5. We've got our oxygen on, ready to go. Temperatures look great. Fuel flow is perfect. Manifold pressure is perfect. Still climbing at exactly 120 knots indicated, right? Not true. True right now is 141. Indicated is what we care about for this
Charlie,
test.
turn left 1 Able Alpha,
In
Echo
the
to Atlantic,
cruise
and,
portion
Alpha 2
of this test,
taxiway
we're going to be
and Alpha
comparing
taxiway west of
true airspeed only. We don't really care about
Echo
indicated
is
in
on
cruise.
it, I believe.
Okay,
Fuel tank is switched, all indications are good, temperatures are great. Okay, so we are anywhere between 98. I would say it's safe during climb at 37 inches of manifold pressure at 120 knots indicated. We're at 99 to 100 decibels with the 3-blade Hartzell. We're here at cruise. We're all leaned out. We've got 30.5 inches of manifold pressure. We're flowing 16.7 gallons per hour, which on this airplane is roughly between 50 and 100 degrees lean a peak, depending on the day, right? Cylinder head temperatures are coming down slowly. They had gotten up to about 358 during the climb. And so now they're evening out nicely at about 340 or so. And we've got a true airspeed, right? We don't care about the headwind. We don't care about indicated in this case, in this test. We got a true airspeed of 183 knots. Okay, let's, and that's been consistent. It did go from 182 up to 184. So 183 is a really nice average for it. Our density altitude right now is 15,300 feet. And we're at 15.5 with an outside air temperature of 5 degrees. TITs is what I lean to. So I try to keep my TITs at 1,580 or less. In the altitudes, I'll be at 1,600. 25,000 feet will be at 1,590 or 1,600, which is okay. But ideally, 1,560 is like the sweet spot. So that's what I've found. With leaning, I actually look at TITs more than any other indication. So let's do a decibel reading. Let's do it right here. Hopefully I remember to do that on the next one. So we're at 182, now 183 knots. We're at 91 to 92 decibels. It's bouncing between a safe 91 to 92. And it's pretty consistent. From 3,000 to 15,000 feet was exactly 9 minutes, 17 seconds. So 9 minutes, 17 seconds is the number to beat.
We are over here at Spring City. Super excited, pumped to pull this prop off and pop on this beauty. Beautiful looking hub. I've got the spinners at our hangar right now. I'm gonna go measure or weigh the difference between the two spinners. This is a Kevlar spinner. This is a metal of some sort. I'm sure there's pros and cons, but this one feels way lighter, significantly lighter. So we're gonna weigh these props, weigh the spinners, weigh all the hardware. Prop is off, and they've got it weighed here. The Hartzell comes in at 62 pounds, 3 ounces. So now they're gonna throw the MT 4-blade on there, and we'll see what that comes in at. All right, setting the MT 4-blade composite on the scale. We gained a little bit. 64 pounds, 10 ounces. So adding one additional blade only added about 2 pounds. Now granted, we saved some on the spinner, so we'll weigh the spinners, get our true actual weight and balance difference. But overall, adding a blade does not really gain much weight at all, and after the spinner maybe is a wash. We'll see. All right, weigh-in time for the spinners. So I talked to Ross over at Midwest Aircraft Refinishing and confirmed that the Hartzell is made out of aluminum. So the prop of the MT, we had all the hardware strapped with a zip tie to the back of the prop. So to make things fair, that's the hardware for the spinner. So we've got a total of
3 pounds, 2.2 ounces for the Hartzell. Aluminum spinner. And then the MT spinner is Kevlar, so it's way lighter. 1 pound, 1.6 ounces. All right, so that puts our totals at, and when I weighed it previously, is 1 pound, 1.7 ounces. So this is off by 0.1 or close enough, right? So the Hartzell, we're at 65 pounds, 5.2 ounces total. And the MT, we're at 65 pounds, 11.7 ounces total. So you're seeing an increase of 6 ounces. I'd say basically, in short, going from a 3-blade to a 4-blade is nominal. You've got almost exact same weight. They've got the Hartzell 3-blade bolted down to this pallet. So we'll take the pallet to our shop. We'll modify that crate and get that 3-blade to fit in that crate, because right now it just doesn't fit properly, and that way we can ship that out to the new owner. There's our new spinner for the MT. Check out this hub. This thing looks clean. Really nice looking hub. So Preston and I are going to go fire it up, make sure she runs at 2,500 RPM, and report back.
This holds so much nicer.
We've got the MT installed. We just fired up the airplane. She's never heard it before. I flew it yesterday. I didn't want her on board just for the first flight, just in case. What do you think?
First, it's higher pitched. There's like a whistling kind of sound. It's like what, an oscillating whistling sound almost.
It's just different.
It's just different, yeah.
It sounds like it sounds smoother, right? It's more of a whistle versus a hum or a buzz.
Is that just the blades cutting through the air? Is that what that sound is, or?
It's got to be. Yeah, that's the only difference. Is you've got 4 blades that are slightly shorter than the 3-blade.
Yeah.
So your tip speed is less.
Mm-hmm.
Each blade surface is a little smaller than the previous. So it just is going to give off a different harmonic.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely, like, it goes away once you get distracted, but, like, when you go from the 3 to the 4, you notice it. You're like, that sounds really different.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not, I would say it's not a negative. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at exactly 1,000 RPM, and we did this with the 3-blade where we tested decibel level. So let's see what it's at. So call it 72, dip down to 71 there. When I talk, it throws it off. So say 71.6 up to 73.2, I think is the highest I saw it go without me talking. So that gives you a reference at 1,000 RPM decibel reading, but it's a different type of sound that you can't really explain. You just have to hear it. I actually kind of favor this a little bit over the sound of the 3-blade. We just landed in Colorado, and we had forgotten to do the 1,700 RPM run with the MT. So this is like a month later. We want to do the decibel test at 1,700 RPM. So let's put this, I think I was holding it last time. So let's put this here. Let's go mixture full rich, just like before. Hold the brakes, 1,700. We've got the fan on 0, just like before. There we go, 1,700. All right, so that's a good test. I'll post these numbers on the screen for everyone to see. And so far, I really like the sounds of this thing. Density altitude today happens to be at -2,000 feet, which that is awesome because that's exactly what it was before. We're at 930 feet here in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And so we've got the exact same density altitude as we did when we were testing the 3-blade. Granted, it's a little bit warmer today. That was just reading at about 21 degrees. Now it's at 20 degrees. I think we were at 18.
Yeah, and I thought it was 18.
Today it looks like, because we want to stay VFR, and it looks like we might be able to find a pocket and pop. Yeah, it looks like we can find some pockets and pop through so we can stay VFR all the way up to the 15,500 feet. We're going to record again from, was it 3,000 to 15,000, and we're trying to beat the 9 minute and 17 seconds. I did take it for a test flight yesterday. I noticed that, so anytime you switch a prop out, on one of these Cirruses at least, because the mixture control is tied in with the throttle, you need the pull, the force of air on the prop combined with high power in order for the hub to fill up with oil and pitch the blades properly. So that initial run, I just did a high-speed taxi down the runway, and we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I was able to brake in the brakes that way, the new Behringer brakes, and we were able to get that oil flowing through the prop. You could definitely feel the surging of the prop as it was filling up with oil, and then it stopped after about 3 seconds. It wasn't bad at all. So know that when you swap a prop, you're going to have that experience totally normal. I already have my impressions. I'm not going to share them with Lene because I want it to be completely where there's no placebo or very little placebo. Clear for takeoff 36, 416 Romeo on course. Thanks you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's different. It sounds more spindly, if that makes sense. Like,
Yep. Okay, looking for 1400. 1400 right there. Flaps, caps, and maps.
is there more control with it? Or no?
That's just the wind, the air today. It's so
Oh.
perfect.
600.
Get ready at 3,000 feet. I see some pockets. I think we're going to be okay.
Okay, it started.
Cool. Lene started the timer at 3,000 feet. Exactly. We're climbing at a rate of 1,700. Before we're at 1,900. Again, we're still doing the exact same thing as we did a couple days ago with the 3-blade Hartzell. We're at 120 knots, dead on, from 3,000 all the way up to 15.5, but we are timing from 3,000 to 15 to see how she does. We topped off the tanks with fuel, that way the weight is identical as it was with the Hartzell. Our temperature is as close as we can ask for. Our altimeter is relatively close. Our density altitude is almost identical, so it's not scientific. We can't get really much closer than this when you've got so many factors, but we're getting it as close as practical. And so far, impressions. Lene, what do you think?
Yeah, it feels like I don't know if it's the wind or like the air. I mean, you said the density is the same, so now I don't hear that high pitched sound now.
Right.
That whistling is gone when you're in the air. So
Yeah,
it's only
that's
when you're
more
on the
of
ground.
a 1,000 RPM
Yeah.
idle sound.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. It does feel
Waukesha Tower
very
242,
confident.
Victor Alpha, 10 to the
I mean,
west.
everything feels
full
really
stop
good.
with November.
Now you said it wasn't
Victor Alpha, Waukesha Tower,
balanced.
left traffic runway.
Right. Okay, so the 3-blade prop by Hartzell, that was balanced almost to perfection by Jim Barker of Aviation Resources. And Cirrus fans out there know that he is the best in the business for balancing props. So he had us spoiled with that prop.
And we could tell. I could tell the second he did it how different it was.
Yes. Yep. Whereas this one is not balanced at all. You can't. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is balanced from MT, from the factory, but you cannot balance a prop dynamically unless it's mounted on that specific airplane. So it's going to go in for the prop balance the end of this month, and then we'll be able to share a better comparison. But as far as performance is not going to change between non-balanced and balanced. Sound is not going to change. What is going to change is vibration. So far, I would say in the climb, vibration's about identical.
I didn't notice more
Right.
vibration. No.
On the ground, it feels about identical as well.
Yeah.
Which the vibration before was extremely low. So we're comparing to a very good, well-balanced prop. So I would say from the factory, it comes pretty close to balance, but we'll see, we'll get a much better sense of that once Jim Barker balances it. So again, we're climbing 3,000, 15,000. Linnea is timing it. Initial impressions, I would say I'm feeling like the climb rate, I don't know if this is placebo, we'll see what the timer says. I feel like the climb rate is stronger. Yesterday, when I took this up by myself, I was climbing at 2,000 feet per minute.
Okay, what are we climbing at now?
1,500. Yep. Not saying saying that you're that heavy.
Well, okay, yeah, because I'm here. But I was here on the other one too.
Yes,
so we have
an
to do
initial
the same.
climb,
Yeah.
initial climb down low, you're going to climb faster because the air is thicker,
Yeah.
right? More bite. Now, I did see it going from anywhere between about 1,400 and 1,700 with the two of us in here. So it's averaging out at, say, 1,550. So when I was editing this video, I figured out that I forgot to record the decibel reading at about 10.5. We just crossed 10.5, so here we go. All right, so that's the MT at about 10.5 to 11.5. Ranges from, well, I'll put it on the screen, and then we'll compare that to the Hartzell at this altitude.
Number 16, go Romeo, you are cleared to Waukesha, part of your present position. Direct and descend and maintain 5,000.
Clear direct, Waukesha, descend and maintain 5,000, 416 Romeo. Thank you.
16, go Romeo, information, Oscar's current, you can expect visual approach running 28.
We'll expect the visual for 28, and we'll pull up Oscar. Appreciate it, 416 Romeo. Okay, cleared 5,000. And direct Waukesha, we are descending 700 feet per minute. Good. All right. So what happened was we were able to get up to 15,500 VFR, but then there was no way to stay VFR at 15,500 or any altitude around there. We got socked in. So we filed IFR to go back to Waukesha. We're going to have to do this cruise test tomorrow. The climb performance was phenomenal. So show them what we've got here. So we climbed from 3,000 to 15,000.
Proceed direct slams.
And we did it that much faster than yesterday. So 59 seconds faster because we're at 9 minutes, 17 seconds. So super impressed with the climb performance of the 4-blade. I'd say it beats the Hartzell 3-blade hands down. We don't know cruise yet because it's not a fair comparison. Show them the wings and how much ice buildup we're getting here. We're at the top of a cloud layer and we're building up ice like crazy. So we've got full TKS on. I've actually got it on high now. And I'm trying to bust off all the rest of that ice. But what you can't see is the camera there, the wingtips, the spinner, the wheel pants, all the little spots on the plane that have ice buildup is slowing us down drastically. So we can't do a fair comparison today. The conditions were almost identical. Temperature was very similar. Density altitude was almost identical. Load on the airplane was the same exact airplane. We had the same amount of fuel.
16 Romeo, turn left heading 130 vector for your descent.
130, 416 Romeo. What I noticed last night coming into Waukesha with this prop is the speed brake performance is incredible on this. When you pull it back, she wants to like stop in the air. So It's a little bit more tricky there, but it is so nice for if you're an instrument pilot and you, especially if you're doing mountain flying instrument, and you get dove down by ATC, it's one way to reduce the amount of slipping that you have to do in that dive, which is not ideal.
6 Tango Romeo, turn left heading 110.
110, 46 Tango Romeo. Also, over the runway, I noticed way less float with this prop. Orchestra Tower, Cirrus 46 Tango Romeo, visual 28, we've got Oscar.
Cirrus 46 Tango Romeo, runway 28, clear to land.
Clear to land 28, 46 Tango Romeo.
You got a nice tour of the area, huh?
Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah, 12,000 feet at 5 miles.
Did he just follow our path?
Yep. You'll see it on YouTube, Hugh. We did a full prop video, new 4-blade MT prop comparison compared to the Hartzell.
Oh, cool. It'll be up today, you think?
No, it'll take me probably about a month to edit this thing.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna really test the braking performance of this prop, trying not to shock cool the engine, so leaving enough power in where we don't shock cool it, so I'm at 50%, diving down at 1,700 feet, 2,000 feet per minute.
Don't shock cool me either. Don't scare me with it.
All right, we're now 2,000 feet per minute at 167 indicated, and now we're coming in on final. Let's really put this thing to the test here. Temperatures are looking good. There we go, pull back a little bit. Temperatures still are good. Almost to flap operating range. Okay, flap speed. Dive down.
500.
Now we want to get to 104. Well, we encountered ice, so we're not going to put in flaps to 100. We're going to leave them at 50. We're going to come in a little bit fast. It bleeds off speed so nicely.
Does have a lot of control.
Yeah. Like crazy control.
Wow, totally different.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I like it.
Yeah. And that was at 50% flaps.
Wow, there was like a confident control.
Yes.
Like it felt like you just...
And then here on the runway, we got the Behringers, and look at this, we can make Bravo. Look at how easily that is. That is awesome.
That's
and that was
totally
with 50% flaps and coming in at 167
it feels like you have
knots
complete
on
control
final.
of this thing. That's cool.
Wow. Love it.
And you're going back to the hangar?
Yes, sir.
All right, Alpha Charlie, cross 18 at Alpha.
Alpha Charlie, cross 18 at Alpha, 416 Romeo.
So we're talking about how it was not a fair comparison at 15.5, and here's why. See all this ice buildup? And this is after a bunch of it melted off. We had all the de-ice turned on, right? But all the leading edges picked it up like crazy. Look at this. That slows down the airplane. I don't know how many knots, but it's a lot. I can tell you that much. So that's why we're going to do the test tomorrow. Because so far at 15.5, we were seeing a 10 knot decrease in speed with the MT compared to the Hartzell. But this appears to not be fair at all. Because look at this. Yeah, that is... And that's with, I mean, we landed about 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago. And a lot of it melted on the way down. So yeah, we'll follow up tomorrow. But you've got our impressions so far. And it's it looks really good, doesn't it? I'm pretty impressed with that. It sounds great. In that climb performance, holy smokes. A full minute faster. That's like a 12, I'll have to figure it out. 12% increase in climb in the same exact conditions. So very happy so far. But yeah, I'm glad I got a Fiki airplane and that we're instrument rated for days like today. You do not want to get caught in clouds as a VFR pilot.
So we are at 15.5. Our true airspeed's 186 knots. It's bouncing between, say, 185 and 187. 6 degrees outside. We have roughly the same load because we got about a good amount of weight in the back. And we're at 186 knots. So we got to give the MT roughly a 2 to 3 knot advantage at 15.5. And so far what we've been seeing in the flight levels for the last month or so is that we've been, or month and a half that we've been flying this prop, is the MT does have about a 3 knot advantage. We feel anything above 10,000 feet, anything below that, it seems to be on par with the Hartzell 3-blade. That's something to note, because I mean 3 knots is, I mean we'll definitely take it, plus the other advantages so far that we've been seeing. So we're at 30.5. It bounces between 30.5 and 30.6 inches of manifold pressure. Let me bring this down, 30.5. And our fuel flow is the same. Our temperature is roughly the same. RPMs obviously are locked in at 2,500 on these turbos. Everything is as close as possible to mimic. Our HVAC controls are the same. They're at the 0. So air is flowing, but there's no fan on. And boost pump is on, which does make audible noise. Here's our decibel reading, and I'm going to be quiet while it does it. And last time we did it up here, it's going to be hard to see in the sun. That's the range. And what I found from recording this, it's best if I go back in the recording and figure out the lowest and the highest. That's what I'm doing with all the other tests, is I'm actually going frame by frame and figuring out the lowest to highest. That way we get as much accurate information as possible. Now that we have like 2 flights under our belt, this is our 3rd flight. What do you think?
I love it. Yeah.
So what do you like more about this one?
I feel like there's just more control with the plane, especially when you're landing, and even when you're taking off. There's just something like faster about it. Just everything feels very fine-tuned and in control. I don't notice as much vibration as I thought.
Right. Me neither. And I don't know if it's a thing where that hub has to completely fill up with oil or something in order for the vibration to go away. But I'd say I 100% agree. That first flight that I was solo, it was vibrating a little bit. Second flight with you, it was a little bit less. Third flight, it was like, it felt like a turbine.
Yeah.
And now 4th flight here, it feels, again, like super, super smooth. So, and it's not even balanced yet. I don't see a single downside at this point. Do you?
No, I like it.
So here's a recap of the testing that we performed. And you can see that the MT actually shines in every single category as opposed to the Hartzell. So we were very pleasantly surprised. We thought that there was going to be some downsides. It turns out we cannot find a single downside to this propeller. A 5% reduction in decibels is actually a lot more than what you would think of when you hear 5%. Decibels is kind of like a sliding scale. You'd have to do some research on it to truly understand decibel readings. But from my understanding, a 5% reduction in decibel readings is more like a 20% or 30% reduction in the actual sound output. A 12% improvement in climb performance is very impressive, and it's much more than we thought that this prop was going to be able to give us between the Hartzell and the MT. And the braking performance, I would say, is very comparable improvement. It's not something that we can measure, but we can tell you the feel is approximately about the same gain in performance. And then obviously cruise performance, gaining some knots. along with all these other improvements, was really welcome. I called MT and I spoke to them about the vibration and how it went consistently down each flight that we took, and it stayed that way for the last now couple months that we've been flying this propeller. And they explained to me that most likely what I was feeling was the pitch stops breaking in on the propeller. That hub is greased, and when it's brand new, it can be sticky. And until all of that is broken in, it can give you a tiny bit of vibration that went away, I would say, within the first couple hours of flight. Lastly, the diameter going down by 2 inches increases the ground clearance by 1 inch, which any pilot that can increase their ground clearance and reduce their risk of a prop strike, that's definitely a welcome improvement. Both Lene and I have come to the consensus that the non-dynamically balanced MT propeller is actually smoother with less vibration than the dynamically balanced Hartzell 3-blade propeller. We did take off the MT stickers just because they're green and white and they didn't go at all with the paint scheme. But I kind of like the look of the stickers on there in a different color. So I'm going to reach out to MT and see if they can send us like gloss black and red stickers. That'd look kind of cool. As you saw, the climb performance on this was really impressive. I was expecting it to be maybe a couple percentage better, but at 12% more climb performance in I think a nice controlled test. I'm sure I'm going to get some criticism from somebody on YouTube, just like always. But I don't know of a better way to do it. I mean, we could have gone, say, 3,000 up to 25,000. That would have been more accurate, but not as practical and more expensive of a test. So going from 3,000 to exactly 15,000 in the same exact, almost the exact same temperature, almost the exact same density altitude, the exact same airplane with the exact same weight in the airplane was as close of a test as I could practically do for you guys. And 12% is incredible. So I think it's very safe to say that the climb performance on this is much, much better than the Hartzell 3-blade. And then it was kind of reminding you of, you said,
Or something.
yeah, like a
Yeah,
turbine.
yeah.
It sounded more like a turbine.
A turbine.
Which is cool, because we didn't pay for a turbine. And if it sounds better, more like a turbine, I'm okay with that. So I liked it. I actually, even though it's not balanced yet by Jim Barker, I can't imagine how much smoother he's gonna be able to make this, because it's already very smooth from MT. So naturally, they're able to balance it at their shop, but in order to dynamically balance it, it has to be on the airplane. So it'll be interesting to see Jim Barker's readings before and after. And for mountain flying, for climb performance, for braking performance, this thing is a rock star. Super happy with it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And please watch our Behringer brake video. That we kind of combined at the same time as this video, flipping back and forth between the two, because the Behringer brakes went on at almost the same exact time as this prop, which is almost the same exact time as the entire annual, which was at the same time as the Starlink install. So we also have a Starlink video that's maybe out by now too. So enjoy, and thanks for tuning in to Elevate. Please like, subscribe, comment. It helps the channel, and then it encourages us to actually be able to afford to do stuff like this. If you like what you see, please like the video. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to our channel, Elevate.